record this. We'll go. This does not take long. No notes. Just please pay attention. Take your headphones out. Just listen. It's not that complicated. Okay. What does power mean? Somebody tell me. Just not like a definition, but like, what do you think power means?
Like you have something over someone.
You have something over someone, right? That's a good way to put it. Anybody else? Strength. Great way to put it. Fear. Right? You're afraid for your life maybe, right? Okay? So power is the ability to influence behavior, okay? Which is kind of what Alex said, right? With the have something over someone. But where does power come from? And Malcolm kind of answered this question with strength. What's another place that power comes from? If somebody's more powerful than you, what do they have that you don't? Money. Strength. What else? I've got strength, money, influence, and fame, right? So the more strength, money, influence, and fame someone has, the more powerful they are. If it comes down to it, if me and Jordan are in a fight, right, over money, at the end of the day, every conflict kind of boils down to, can he beat me up or can I beat him up, right? Like if we are in like a trade war with another country and we're fighting with them, at the end of the day, it all boils down to like, can our army beat their army? Because if so, then like, it's kind of game over, right? So it's whoever has that power. So hang on to that. Can someone have too much power? What would it look like for someone to have too much power? If someone had too much power over you, how would you feel as?
Like they're a tyrant.
Like they're a tyrant. Tyrant meaning that they're a ruler, they're some sort of king or queen who only acts on their own interest, right? Some people say that, y'all know that the Life 360 app? Y'all ever heard of it? You know what I'm talking about? They're trying to get rid of it because it says it gives parents too much power, right? Do you feel like, because it tells you where your location is at all times and your battery life, everything. So like if you're a 16-year-old, that could take away a lot of, that your parent could have too much power over you, right? It's too much, it's overbearing, okay? What does absolute mean? Not the vodka. That doesn't have an E at the end of it. Just regular absolute. Does anybody know? It's kind of a hard word to define.
Like you're not going to change it?
Not going to change it, okay? Not diminished in any way, total, is the official definition, okay? So that's absolute. Absolute is like the end-all, be-all, right? The top. So what would absolute power be? With power being the ability to influence behavior, and absolute being the total, not diminished at all, I would say that it means one person has all of the power, or one person has all the strength, money, influence, and fame that give him or her that power. Does that make sense? They have absolute power. They have a total amount. And what is a monarch? Should know. Just a king or queen. So if I asked what an absolute monarch was, it would be a king or queen that has absolute power over the country in which they rule. They would have too much power. That power would be absolute. They would have no limit. They would have the final say in everything. So how does a monarch gain absolute power? Well, I'll tell you. What's in red?
The UK.
More than that.
Europe.
Europe. Bingo. And over here on the left, this whole section is called what? America. And what do we refer to as what do we refer America to now? We call it the New World. That was bad on my part. But yeah, America, New World. Okay? And we're doing this. What is this called? Triangle trade, right? So we're triangle trading. It's mercantilism. Mercantilism, all of this, the goal is to do what? Make? Yes. Trade connections in order to make money, right? The end goal is to make money. So if we zoom in on Europe, they're making more money because of this triangular trade, because of the New World. They're in like tons of money. They're in loaded up with money. So their money's going up. In the Reformation, the church loses a lot of power, right? So the church is losing power. They're going down. Okay? So the amount of money's going up. The power the church has is going down. And if we go back here, Europe's working with all these other countries, with the New World, with Africa. They're going to be a little scared that maybe somebody's going to attack them one of these days, right? So they're going to build up an army in order to combat all this. Plus, they have the money to do so. So in Europe, we've got money going up, the church going down, and we've got armies going up. So we've got money, we've got influence. They're gaining more influence, they're gaining more strength, and therefore Europe starts to get super powerful. These kings and queens really have the final say. So we have Europe's absolute monarchs. I'm going to go over this fairly quickly, and this will cover the next 2 to 3 days of assignments. Causes. The church loses power after the Reformation. You know what I mean? The Catholic Church gets split up. There's no reason it would have as much power. Plus, the new religion, the new Christianity, that Protestantism doesn't rely on like a pope or anything. Right? You can just kind of live your life. Big wealth from colonies, like I just said, that triangle trade. All the new colonies are making a lot of money. Large armies because they're in constant war, constantly battling over this trade, and it all leads to rulers with total power. So the first one we have is Philip II. And Philip II is from Spain. He's the king of Spain, great wealth from New World colonies, uses Catholic Inquisition to maintain power, and claims divine right. His power comes directly from God. So even though Europe's kind of switched over, he's still Catholic. So he's using that same Inquisition strategy to maintain power, and he tells the people, God placed me in here. Well, if God placed the king there, are you going to argue with him? What if you came in this room and I was like, guys, God personally came to me and told me to be your teacher. And if you fail this class, then like you fail God. You'd probably be like, I ain't even taking any chances, right? You've got King Henry VIII. Oops, that's not supposed to be there. There we go. King Henry VIII, we've already talked about him. King Henry VIII is from England. He's the Tudor king of England. He breaks with the Catholic Church in order to gain a divorce. Eventually has 6 marriages, and his daughter Elizabeth develops the Anglican Church. Henry VIII has a ton of power. Next, we've got King Louis the 14th. I don't know why he keeps popping in like that. Louis the 14th is France. He's the Bourbon king of France, and he's called the Sun King. You're going to find out why later. States something in French where he says, I am the state. He basically is saying, I have all the political power. I control everything. France is mine. And he builds the Palace of Versailles. The Palace of Versailles is absolutely amazing. It has got 2,300 rooms, 550,000 square feet, 6,000 paintings, and 2,000 sculptures. And there is a picture of it. It's in France. It is like money, power, and wealth all kind of wrapped up into one. Got a little MTV Cribs. What you know about it? The Hall of Mirrors. Look at that. The king's bedroom. That's where the king slept. All of that's real gold. The queen's bedroom. Look at that. I mean, just covered in gold, covered in wealth. The royal chapel. And the gardens out in the back. All of that is just extravagant wealth that he is using as the king to wield this power to make this place. We're going to find out a little bit about France later. They did not have the money to build that. So they get into a little bit of trouble. And finally, we've got Peter the Great. This is the last thing we'll talk about. And he is in Russia. We haven't talked a lot about Russia. But that's because Russia hasn't been very interesting until now. He's the Tsar of Russia. The Tsar. Really, you can just say Tsar without the C, but really it's Tsar. He westernizes Russia. What would you think westernizes means? Someone give me... So they're colonizing the New World, but what kind of countries are colonizing them? Are countries in Africa going over and getting colonies in the New World? No. So they're saying that this western part of Europe, if you look at your map, the western part of the world is that little section in Europe, and they're very advanced. So he takes Russia from being less than to kind of equal to the rest. They become a world power. They become very strong, very influential. They still are to this day. It makes it more like Europe, a simpler alphabet, first newspapers, and he makes the new capital at St. Petersburg. And that is all. So those are your 4 rulers. Your assignment's going to help you with exactly what absolutism is, what it means, how those people get that power, talk about specifics, and then we are chugging through world history after that. So you'll be good.